So what do you feel about like men's bell bottoms?
I'm actually like into it. I know.
Really?
I know that's kind of weird, but I think that should make a comeback. Tight pants, like fitted here and then a little flare.
Agree to disagree.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I hope this isn't being used.
What? No. Definitely use it. But anyway. Welcome to In the Aisles, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm your unreliable host, Derek Bieri, and I have special guest with me, Liv Scaffidi. You might notice her from YouTube. You're on the Instagrams.
Yes, I am.
All that stuff. We're in beautiful Dallas, Texas at the O'Reilly Auto Parts Leadership Conference. Actually, it's after the conference. We just got done enjoying the after hours party. We did some signings and things like that. And it's 1 a.m. But nonetheless, we're going to chat about, what are we going to chat about? Firebirds, carburetors, Bel Airs, probably Canada. You're from Canada, right?
Yes, I am.
And some other whatnots. First of all, I've got a question. True or false? This came through the email. Are you or are you not known as the Canadian Carburetor Dragon?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay. True or false, you carry Holley carburetor floats and try to pay for meals with them?
True.
I also heard a rumor that you might be doing fuel injection soon.
True.
Okay, let's start there. So if you're so hardcore carburetor, which I get, because it's like, you just bolt it on and
they work.
It does the thing.
Yeah.
Why the switch all of a sudden?
So my thought process was, everyone's gone EFI. I feel left behind at this point, and I've always let, the whole wiring situation, tuning, I've always let that intimidate me.
Sure.
And I thought this year, no more. I need to learn, I need to jump into it, and I thought, who better than the people that make my favorite carburetor? So. Sure,
that makes sense. So for those that are listening and watching, kind of give us, if they're not familiar with you or your channel, give us like a high-level overview. Obviously, they know that you like carburetors. You're going in this endeavor of EFI, but quick background.
Quick background, I've always loved hot rods and old muscle cars, specifically, especially American-made.
Okay.
And so all my content revolves around building hot rods, racing my cars as well. I want to venture more into drag racing, and just really enjoying the cars as much as I can.
Okay. So we chatted just very briefly. You're from Canada.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So are you from would you say more like maple syrup or the waffles? Waffles being west. Like what region?
Maple syrup. I'm all the way out east, just north of Toronto.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
Okay. So you've been to Niagara Falls then, right?
Oh, of course.
Have you ever purchased the syrup in the maple leaf glass jar? It's good.
It's so good.
It's it's 114% sugar.
Yeah.
For sure. But man, that was good. It was really, really good. So were you born and raised in Canada?
Yes, I was.
So why you're here in the U.S.? What's going on?
I love the U.S. so much. I can't say enough great things about this country. And like I said, all my favorite cars are American-made. As well, my boyfriend lives out here. He has a hot rod shop. So him and I work together, and we put these cars together and just cruise them.
I recently bought, let's see if you know this car. This is going to age me quite a bit. Back in the day, did you ever watch Magnum PI?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
All right, so think of that era. I recently scooped up a real hot rod. It's called a Bricklin SV1.
Canadian made.
Canadian made.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this rig?
I love them because I used to be obsessed with the DeLorean DMC-12, and I really was into the gull wing doors, and I know the Bricklin's SV1 has them as well. I don't know too much about them, how they are mechanically, but I got to imagine something out of the 70s from Canada can't be...
Have you ever sat in one?
Yes, I have.
You still like it? Have you ever driven one?
No, I have not.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay. Mine drove about 32 miles at a time before puking oil and antifreeze on the windshield. the air compressor system wouldn't open the doors, so you'd get
Oh,
stuck.
yeah, that's right.
So you got to lay across the center console, use your legs to get the door open, and then I'd take my camera tripod and wedge that into the door, and then you can bail out, essentially. Mine's Ford powered. They also had AMC. I think it was AMC 360.
That's right.
Yeah. But what other Canadian vehicles do you prefer? Any at all that you like ring a bell?
Honestly, the Bricklin is what stands out the most to me.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's unfortunate because it was a flop. It was a flop. So, DeLorean versus Bricklin.
I have to give it to the DeLorean because I'm big into movies, and honestly, that's what got me into cars in the first place. So
Okay.
I love Back to the Future, and I really like that. I love John DeLorean. He also designed the Firebird, and just
Big Pontiac guy.
big
Yeah.
Pontiac guy.
He also did the GTO, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I just thought he nailed it in the styling department. So that's why a lot of my favorite cars are from him.
It's kind of interesting. I think we're digressing at this point, but that's okay. So, like, you look at John DeLorean, he designs these iconic muscle cars. I mean, obviously, the Mustang is what spurred the Chevrolet Camaro and the Fire Turkey. And then he builds the GTO, and then he goes way right and just makes the DeLorean. He's
Yeah.
like, this thing's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
Fails. And you look at Edsel Ford, who basically saved his father's company. His dad was on vacation.
Yeah.
He designs the Model A, puts it under a tarp. Henry Ford comes back to the plant, says, Dad, here's the new Ford. And he says, what is this atrocious automobile? Like, get it out of here. Because he was building the T. And it turned out to be a huge hit. Well, anyway, vastly successful, tries to go on his own and creates the Edsel.
Yep.
Have you seen these things?
Oh, of course. The toilet seat front
Oh
grill.
my goodness. So I laugh because it's like everybody that's really successful tries to go like,
Adventure.
Yeah.
And then,
boy, pretty rough. So let's talk about your projects really quick. So you're known for the Firebird. What year is this thing?
71.
71. I've seen it. It's maroonish, but it has center lines. Okay, so what is this build? What did you do to it?
So that was my first car. So it's a 1971 Pontiac Firebird, and I swapped in. The first engine it had was a bone stock LS1 4L60E behind it that I spent way too much money beefing up. In
The transmission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spent way. Everyone told me don't do it to a 60E. I did it, and it held up. And then I swapped in a Cam 5.3, and it actually went faster. It could have been the track conditions too.
Did you change the stall converter, or was it just the
It
cam
was
thing?
still the same stall converter that it had in it from when it was,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay,
So it was like a 3500 stall.
okay.
The whole concept with that car was to go as fast as I can with it being as light as it was with not a whole lot of horsepower.
Sure.
So
What kind of horse do you think you're making?
honestly, on that thing, it was at best like 400 flywheel.
Which is, I mean, on the street that's enough to get into trouble.
Yeah, it
400
is.
horse. Actually, I think, so you were at Duct Tape Drags, I saw this car in person. You were pulling some paper slippers, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of rear gear you got in this thing?
That one had 373s and then a true track.
Nice. So obviously with the gear ratio, you were thinking, I want to drive this on the street and go to car shows, whatever,
Yeah.
but take it to the track.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the tire was too big on it. I probably could have gone a little faster had I just went with a smaller rear tire, but I did it for the looks. I just
Sure.
really wanted a big, meaty thing out back.
I put a 2610 on my Chevelle, and everyone was like, why'd you go with such a short tire? Well, the rear is set up for burnout competitions, right? So I had
Yeah.
to make up for that in the tire size.
Yeah.
And it really helped. But I think yours were 30s on the rear?
28.
28? Okay.
Yeah, so just fit the fender well so nicely. I didn't want to like go down in size. I was like, I'll just run it.
Yeah. Do you remember your fastest time in that car?
Fastest time was 11:57 at 1:15. So
Nice.
it's not breaking any records, but for what it was, just being a really lightweight F-body, I was happy.
You know what frustrates me? Again, this is going to age me, but back in the day, folks, when I was in the high schools, if anybody was running 12s, they were like, it was like quarterback of the football team. Like that guy
It was a
runs
big
stuff.
deal.
If you were even close to running anything in like the high 10s or 11s, you were like king of the street.
Yeah.
Today, if you're not running 8s,
I know.
people are like, oh, you don't have 1,000 horsepower. It's
I
like,
know.
it's like, what in the world? Whatever happened to like sensible horsepower or obtainable horsepower, you know? Plus you can't really drive that I've cleaned out a lot of ditches with my Chevelle, I'll tell you that much. It's too much for the highway. But anyway, you sold this car.
Yes.
So why? What happened? What's going on?
I realized what I actually wanted to do in terms of my like racing career, and I realized that the Firebird, when I built it at the time, I really built it with no class in mind, with no event in mind, but I'm pretty certain that I want to run the drag and drive stuff,
Sure.
and I really do want to run what's called the NHRA Heritage Series in California, and so the Firebird didn't fit into any classes, and it would have taken so much money and effort to get it to then fit, and I think the fiberglass front end kind of like outed me at a lot of the classes. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna sell that, and I wanted to build more of like a classic gasser style, and while I don't have a Tri-5 just yet, I'm on the hunt for one in order to build to run those events.
So you have a Pontiac Tempest now, but
Yes.
you're still hunting for a Tri-5.
Hunting for a Tri-5.
I'm guessing a 55.
55 or 56.
Okay, not 57.
No.
I think 55s and 56 are probably like 2-lane blacktop. Like
Yes.
That's like
that's
the
what did
original
it for me.
gasser. Yeah. They're out there, but man, they are rotten. You're gonna have to do a lot of work.
I know. And they've gone way up in price. Like,
A lot of the automobiles have, on a previous episode, Poot and I were talking about this, that the price of automobiles seems to keep going up, and regardless of the economy, it seems like it's not going to burst at this
Yeah.
point. It's just, just going and going and going. Probably why I hoard everything that I can. It's really a sickness. Sorry to my wife. But, so are you looking for something? Like a shell, or what
I'm
do you?
looking, I think, for a solid roller. I'd like as little rust as possible, like having my shop and everything based out of California with my boyfriend. I mean, I'm a little spoiled in that the cars I find are relatively rust-free. So I can just focus on the horsepower, focus on making that thing
Sure.
go fast.
So back to maple syrup. California reminded me of it for some reason. The travel is what I'm saying. You come to the U.S. for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Are you on like a travel pass, or what? How does that work?
Honestly, I'm just visiting. I'm just out here having a good time.
Okay, but is there like, I don't understand how, like, does Canada put a limit on how far you can come down, or it doesn't matter?
Oh, I'm able to stay for like 6 months out of the
Okay,
year.
that's
Total,
it.
yeah.
Oh, the year?
Yeah, for the year.
So not in a okay. So you got to kind of manage your time.
Exactly,
Back
working
now,
on the
okay.
projects, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of stress. Do you fly or drive?
Fly for now.
Okay.
Once the Tempest built, it might be a different story, but.
So what are you doing with the Tempest?
So the Tempest, I really want it to be my ultimate capable daily driver, and also I really want to do a cross-country road trip in it because I've always wanted to see more of the United States. I think it's so beautiful. I've seen a handful of states, but not nearly enough. So the Tempest is gonna be basically the ultimate driver. I'm talking like vintage air, heat and AC in that thing. It's gonna have a fully built 6-liter 4L80, so overdrive, still a 373 rear gear
Nice.
to get off the line a little bit. And
So you'll be like 2,400 at 70, somewhere around
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Nice. So it's a street machine.
exactly.
Yeah. So how far east have you been in the States?
I've been Florida, Washington, D.C., just for like vacations.
Okay, so you're flying coast to coast back.
Yeah.
So you want to like do like Route 66 or something.
Yeah, I want to see the towns. I want to be immersed in it,
Yeah.
you know?
No, it really is beautiful. And what's really fun about America is like how vastly it changes from state. Like literally you cross the state line and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it goes from like desert to mountains and
Yeah.
trees and greenery. And then you're back to plains. And then it's just so amazing. I did Route 66 with my son last year, and it was one of the most memorable weeks of my life. And I just remember him glued to the windshield, or the glass, I guess I should say. Just like, wow, like all the different stuff as you drive. Oh,
they're shutting us down?
we're gonna nod, yeah, keep rolling. All right. So the Firebird, is that your first ever car?
Actually, it was.
It
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Okay. All right. What is the one car, if I were to slam a duffel bag down right now, full of cash, and say, doesn't matter how much or
Okay.
where it is in the world, here is the duffel bag that can get you any vehicle in the world that you want. Wow. Air, land, sea, what is it?
Anything. I have always wanted a 63 Corvette, specifically,
Ooh.
obviously a split window, because that year.
Yeah.
Man, I want one so bad. They've gone way up in price, but one day I will have one.
Wow. No one's ever said yet, like, I want a $300 million yacht, and then I'd sell that, and then take that money and then buy.
That's just smart business, which
Those 63 Corvettes are absolute, I mean, they are gems. They're getting really hard to find.
yeah, they are.
Yeah. I mean, even the C1s, an acquaintance of mine has, I believe, VIN 3.
No way.
1 and 2 are gone, or you can't locate them. And I think he paid $1 million for it, something like that. But it is incredible, just like, and it's not fast, it's dorky, it has no amenities, it's basic, but just the history of the Corvette and what it did to the automobile market is just incredible. So what is the car, like, is there another car, you got the Tempest, you're searching for the Tri-5, is there another car that you're, like, what is the end goal? What's the dream? Like, I need to own this car.
The dream. I would really like to one day have a super clean 77 Trans Am, because I have to give it to Burt Reynolds. He is what really got me into cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That movie?
I remember watching Smokey and the Bandit. I think it was sophomore year, and I had the biggest crush on him. And so I was looking up his like IMDb and just looking at movies. So I wasn't even into cars at this time. Watched Smokey and the Bandit purely because it was a Burt Reynolds movie. And then that scene where the Trans Am is pulling out of the Kenworth, that first time it backs out.
Of course, yeah.
I was like, that with the
Whatever this thing
screaming
is.
chicken,
Yeah.
that. So at some point would love to own one of those.
Do you prefer, like, looks-wise though, Burt Reynolds aside, 77 or 78?
I actually like 77 a little bit more.
Really? Is it the fender vent, or like, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it. I mean, that makes sense, yeah. Those went nuts for a while too. Beautiful cars. I love the tan interior, even with white or red or black,
I know.
yeah.
They always look sharp.
Yep. So would you sell the Tri-5 and the Tempest to get a 77?
I don't know if I could do that, because I've fallen really in love with the Tempest at this point. I've always wanted, like, I guess my thing was I couldn't afford the GTO. When I found the Tempest, it was an overhead cam 6 car, and so I thought that was pretty unique, but unfortunately it had wiped some cam lobes, poor oiling.
It sounded pretty not good.
It was not good.
I saw a video, movie motion flick of you driving it around the block, and it sounded almost like a rod knock.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
It was loud, but the way that those cams are is probably why it was accentuating that sound, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Those engines are neat, but
They're so cool. Like, I wish I could have run it, but I also knew in the end, I was like, okay, my end goal is to have this be a daily driver, and I just couldn't rely on that thing.
sure.
That's all.
So you have a carburetor collection. You still have this?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So how many carbs do you have, and why? Why do you collect carburetors?
Shoot. I can't count off the top of my head right now. Over 7 right now, but I'm always hunting for more. I have a specific list of which ones I'm looking for, including the Holley 3-barrel. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Looking for that one right now. Why do I do it? I guess I just love the look of them. Like, I've always preferred them to other carburetor styles, just the look. They're very performance. You know, back in like old Hot Rod magazine, you see them on the tunnel rams. They're just very iconic, and I love how easy they are to work on. They're simple.
So important question. It was just another email that came in hot. Do you have more carburetors than purses?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why you're the carburetor queen. All right, that's cool. And you also, you've done a lot of, I noticed on your YouTube's page, you do a lot of junkyard LS crawling.
Yes.
You look for the aluminum block LSs.
Always looking.
Yeah. What is your best, like what's the make and model where you're finding those the most? For folks watching or listening, like you go into these junkyards, what are you looking for?
The Chevy Express van has been very kind to me because sometimes at the yards, they'll actually put the vans in the wrong section of the yard. So meaning like there's the primo section where you pay a little more to get the good stuff, but sometimes they'll neglect the vans and they'll put them in the cheaper section. So you can actually get a better deal on those engines.
And they probably have is it a 243 head or what's the?
Some of them, some of them do.
Yeah,
if you get lucky.
It's just, you have to hope that the whole front end's ripped off the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they're a bugger to get to. Or some yards still allow you to bring in sawzalls and just hack and cut.
I've brought many.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So do you have any projects that you started and you got 10 minutes, an hour, 2 days, 2 weeks, and just said, nope, I'm out, I'm done. It was a great idea for a minute, but pin this thing up, I'm out.
Honestly, that was me with the overhead Cam 6.
Yeah.
I was really determined on getting that thing running on like an engine stand and having it like, I really wanted it as kind of like a museum piece. I wanted to clean it up real nice and keep it. And then when we got into that thing and I saw how bad it really was, I said, okay, we got to go to the LS right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're so affordable anymore, and the amount of money you spend versus the horsepower you receive.
That's the thing.
What's the earliest memory you have working on a vehicle? Do you have any childhood, like, when was it like, hey, this is pretty cool? Pre-Burt Reynolds, pre-Firebird.
You know what's crazy is I don't come from a car family. In fact, my parents have never really owned any cool cars. They're not even remotely interested in the cars I have. They just don't understand it. So it was a lot of self-interest, I guess you could say, in that in high school. Again, it was the Burt Reynolds thing that really got me into the muscle cars.
Does your family approve? Or do they think you're just wasting money? Or?
Honestly, my mom can't stand the patina thing, but that's she's like, why don't you paint it? I love patina cars. You don't got to worry about them. And to me, that's character. Like, no one has another one.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, if you have a car that's 40, 50 years old and it's original paint, it took that long to get to look like that. I'd rather seal it up and just let her be. Yeah. Plus, like I was saying earlier, you could run her into the ditch every now and then, and you probably wouldn't even notice.
Who's gonna know?
So, what makes projects? I'll back up a little bit. So, when I walk into like a scrap yard or an old yard, or I'm driving down the road, I'll see a vehicle, and it's clearly like the last one left. Like 3 others have been sold, or a row's been sold, or whatever. And there's this one car with a tree growing through the bumper, missing a rear axle, and I go, man, I love that. I need that car. For me, it's like the challenge of knowing hundreds of people have walked by and it said, nope, that thing's too far gone.
Yeah.
What is appealing to you when you've why the Tempest? Why do you see these cars and go, that, I need it?
Honestly, I think, so when I saw my Tempest, it was sitting abandoned in a movie car rental lot, actually, in Santa Clarita. So this family, rents out different classic cars for movies. And I just saw it sitting there, and that was the only car in the whole lot for sale. And I honestly just saw so much potential in it. And that's what it is when you see a car that doesn't run, and like you said, nobody else came to look at it because the engine was seized up. It's just knowing that you could bring it back to life. That was the motivation.
So you had a vision for it. You saw it and it just clicked and it was like, that's the guy.
I was like, I'm gonna be driving that every day Someday.
Do you have a nickname for it yet?
Not yet. Still thinking. I believe a car should be running before you name it, just to give it a little more personality.
You know, you're right, because I just recently did a Ford Galaxy 500, and I was racking my brain like, I don't have a name for this car, and it was bothering me, because normally I could see a car and I'm like, you know, this is Robert, or I like people names for cars for some reason. But it wasn't coming to me. After the build and after I beat the snot out of this thing for relentlessly for a day, I had the name. It was Ralaxy, because it was like a rally car, Galaxy kind of thing. But you're right, like sometimes you have to just sit in the driver's seat and drive it or feel it, or it's like a personality almost. Do you do things right always, or do you kind of have some hacks every now and then?
Have some hacks, or at least I have in the past. I mean, the Firebird was a little bit of a rush to get it running and just get some seat time in the car and get experience on the drag strip. The Tempest has been the complete opposite. It's just been doing everything right, doing everything neatly, and just, I guess, a different learning experience for me. My boyfriend's really taught me, you know, how to do a lot of the wiring at this point. We're building the engine together real soon. And so it's kind of cool though, because you have the way that gets a car together quickly so you can enjoy it. And then you also have a car that's going to be way more reliable and just work.
Yeah. So do you have any hacks that you're willing to share? Like I could do this for hours personally. But if like you did something and you're like, I can't believe that worked. Like, but you might not want to share it because it's pretty
out there.
Pretty raunchy, but it worked.
I would say I don't have something specific, but all of which involve zip tying.
I knew it.
That's it. It's just a lot of stuff that you say, this will be temporary, and then you never get back to it.
2 years later, you're like, oh,
it's still there.
It's still there, but you know, yeah. No, it's funny because like baling twine for me was like the original zip tie.
Zip tie, yeah.
Because baling twine was all over the farm and ranch. I mean, it was all over the lawnmowers and wrapped around the trees and on the deck and throughout the yard and the roads, because we hauled bales everywhere, right? So when I was a kid, you'd patch up your go-kart with some baling twine or your motorcycle or whatever, and it kind of grew from there. Then this thing called duct tape came out. You heard of this stuff?
I've heard of it.
It's amazing. Then the zip tie, but now, personally, these self-tapping screws.
Yes, those.
I go through boxes of these things. I think they've officially replaced the zip tie for me. They're pretty good.
They're good.
Do you have any self-tapping screw stories?
I don't, but I might be making the switch. I've still maintained the zip tie. I'll be honest. I'm late to things. I'm late to things, but.
Well, you don't do a lot of floor patches yet, though, with license plates.
No, not yet. Not at that point.
That's where they really, really come in handy. Have you ever had any time-sensitive projects before? Like, I have to get this done by this time, like before, like duct tape or any races or anything like that?
I would say that was the biggest one, was getting the Firebird, I guess, NHRA Tech legal for duct tape.
Oh, sure.
Later to find out that duct tape is the most lax event. Not that you want to skimp on safety, I'm not saying that. But later to find out I did all this work and I really pressured a lot of people to help me get involved and like finish it up. Later to find out, did it really matter? No, but.
Yeah, passing tech can be tricky in some tracks. They're really, really on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some tracks crack the rad, make sure you're running only water. They'll check for drive shaft loops, battery hold downs, all that stuff. And some just kind of go, yep, it runs.
Yeah.
You know, go do your thing. But it's good that you built the car to that though, because then you can go to multiple tracks.
Exactly.
Like
yep.
Is there any track that you favored?
My favorite track ever is Famoso in Bakersfield, California. I just love the history around that track, and I also love it hosts like two of my favorite events of the whole year, which are the March Meet and the Hot Rod Reunion. So it's nostalgia drag racing, and that's why I really do want to try 5 in order to build that car to fit one of those classes and run that series.
Okay, so you like the history of the event.
I do.
Yeah, that's cool. Tying off of that, boneless chicken wings or quesadillas?
I'd have to say quesadillas because I really like just regular chicken wings. Why boneless?
I think it's just, I don't know, it's like a chicken nugget with sauce.
That's what I'm saying. I kind of like.
Do you like eating it off the bone?
I really do, and then you feel there's a sense of like reward in that you cleaned it. You know.
So let's talk about music. Do you have like a favorite music, but also like the music you jam to, or is it the same?
I think it's the same. I listen to a huge variety, but I'll say I'm not really particular to an artist or a band. It's more of like I guess, a decade. So lately I've been super into 50s and 60s.
Really? So it's like Grease era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I was asking is we were both nerding out that Kix Brooks, Reilly was awesome enough to bring him into the convention here.
True.
And I was like, ah! The whole time he was across from me. You got to meet him.
I shook his hand.
That is so cool.
I can't believe it.
But we were laughing earlier because we were in a minivan betwixt some folks, and we were the only two that knew who Brooks and Dunn.
That blew my mind.
I almost exited the vehicle whilst on the highway. I'm going to be honest.
Me too.
But anyway, so I knew that you had like a genre, but give me like, hit me with like 3 of the artists on your playlist.
Okay, so I'll say Brooks and Dunn for sure. I love a lot of their stuff. Big into the Beach Boys.
Okay.
Love the Beach Boys. Being in SoCal, that's the vibe. Let's see.
No Sublime? I thought Sublime.
Sublime is all.
Okay.
That actually might be it.
Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Love.
Okay.
Love.
I kind of see 50s to 90s alternative rockish with a hint of country.
Yes.
So you're from Canada, so obviously you're used to snow and wind and weather and cold, and then you work a lot in California, which is polar opposite.
Polar opposite.
So what is the worst conditions you've ever worked on a vehicle in? Is it the heat or is it the cold?
Honestly, being that I'm from Canada, people are shocked to know I am the biggest wuss when it comes to the cold. I would way rather work in like sweltering heat. Way rather.
All right. So heat or rain?
Maybe I think I could deal with the rain.
Really?
I think I could.
Man, rain just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I could work in the snow, but like the water going down my back and no, can't do it. That's interesting. So are you planning on moving to California?
I am.
Full time? Okay, cool. All right. So you're definitely just full hot mode. No snow, none of that stuff. You're over it.
I just like that in California you can cruise your car year round and you don't got to worry about salt on the roads. You know, I'm very anti-rust, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So.
What's your earliest memory? This might be the Burt Reynolds thing, maybe. But what's your earliest memory of an like automobile or a car? Like something, was it your dad or mom or a movie or like something where you're like, that is really cool? Was it the Burt Reynolds?
Honestly, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
That was just, it really like did it for me, is just seeing the car back out and just seeing like, I didn't realize cars could be that cool. Like, you know, the gold pinstriping throughout this like black, sleek F body and just.
What were your friends thinking? Because you were talking about this to your friends, right?
All the time. And I mean, I think a lot of them thought, like, why would you be into Burt Reynolds? But then also, why would you be into, like, a really old car like that? And they didn't understand the screaming chicken, but I just knew. I was like, this is it.
What's your daily driver? So you're working on the Tempest. Obviously, you're not driving that. You sold the Firebird. So what's your daily driver?
So actually, my boyfriend and I put together a 56 Chevy that he uses kind of like for a rental business.
Okay.
And it's got a bone stock 5.3 liter LS and a 4L60E behind it. And that thing is such a cruiser. Between him and I, we don't actually own any new vehicles. It's all classic cars.
Well, that's cool.
And so
Yeah.
that's been the car to get around.
Well, that makes sense. You're looking for a Tri-5 if
Exactly.
you're driving one every day.
I've just fallen in love with it. I didn't even know how much I wanted one until I started driving this thing.
How many miles you put on this thing?
A lot.
And you haven't cammed it yet? You're just going to
Honestly, because it's for the renters, I don't think he wants it to be too hot.
Oh,
so
that makes sense. Yeah, it could get a little spicy.
a little.
Yeah, what color is the thing?
It's white, but it's like a patina kind of look to it.
Two-door?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, I mean, does this thing have like wipers and
Yeah,
lights?
it's
and
got heat, no AC. It's got a amazing sound system in it. So when you're cruising, you can just be blasting anything.
It sounds like your project car is done. You just drive that one.
Basically, but I've always been a Pontiac girl, and I just need my own Pontiac.
Okay. Here's a tough question. I'm going to give you maybe 4 seconds to respond, tops though. What is the worst automobile ever made?
The Pontiac
Boop, boop, boop.
Aztec.
You just said you love Pontiacs.
That's the thing. I love Pontiacs for the exact reason I hate the newer ones, which is that I've always thought Pontiac was so adventurous in their styling, and that's why I love them a little bit more than the Chevrolets. But for that same reason, after the 60s, they really started to drop off for me.
They got a little
Carried away.
There was some confusion, I think. What's pretty funny is a vast majority of our guests have said Pontiac Aztec. Like,
I can see why.
what? It's like why?
Have you seen the old ads for them where they have a tent hanging off the back with the way the trunk opens, and it's like,
Well, and then Honda Ridgeline was like, yes, Aztec is great. Let's remake it with the tent and the add-on dog houses and the tree forts and all this stuff. Oh, man. And then Chevy was like, let's make a full-size one called an Avalanche. And that thing was, stop.
I've actually owned one of those.
No.
I did. It was the tow vehicle for my Firebird at the time, since gotten rid of that, but
Did you drive it off a cliff or did you part it out?
Oh, I should have driven it off a cliff. It was actually very luxurious. It was like fully optioned, but I will not deny how ugly it was.
It's kind of like a short box crew cab, right? But the box is just kind of welded
Very
up.
short.
So I've been scared to get too close to one because I didn't want to get like affected or anything. But the weird plastic stuff, is it like a add-on to the, like, is it like a regular cab with just a bunch of junk on it?
Oh, a bunch of, yeah.
Is that what it is?
And some of them don't have as much of the plastic on. Luckily mine didn't, but they're pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I think what really just ruined it for me was like the square fender welds.
Yeah, those were.
Someone got fired over that. At least that's what I'm hoping. So this is my favorite part of the segment called ASAPolators. Okay, it's a word. You can look it up. What this is I'm going to ask you a question and you have to answer immediately or you're fired. Like your chair is going to eject out of this room somehow. I think that door's locked actually. We're stuck in here, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, you have no time. It's like rapid fire, honest answer, no take backsies.
Okay.
Kind of deal.
Okay.
And these are serious questions. I labored over these. Actually, Chad did. Thank you, Chad. You ready?
I think so.
Compact disc or 8-track?
8-track.
Why?
I don't know, I've always been into them actually.
I love the quirky sound.
I do too.
Do you know why they're called 8-tracks?
Actually, no.
They have 8 tracks of audio. So you have lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass, drums. Maybe a guy has a tambourine. I don't know, spoons. But the point is, you only got 8 tracks, and then they put them together. That's why it's called an 8-track. What is your favorite decade of automobiles?
60s.
That was pretty quick.
It was quick.
All right, why not 50s?
I think I like more cars from the 60s. I can name you more cars. I
Okay.
do love 50s, but just overall, the muscle car.
You basically just told me you like your Tempest more than your upcoming shoebox that you're getting.
I guess.
Wow, okay. All right. This one is really controversial, so be careful. We've almost had a fist fight over this one. Conventional or synthetic oil?
Synthetic.
Sure.
I'll tell you that's what I'm. Am I gonna get? Are we gonna get into a fight?
Oh, just teasing you. So that's what, because you're an LS person.
That's the thing. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I get to ask that question so many times. Like, I've got this X vehicle, X year, X engine. What oil do I run? And normally, I don't want to get betwixt science and go through all that stuff. So I just say, look, literally any oil you get off the shelf today is better than what your car had in 1947.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I'm pretty sure it came straight out of the ground and just went right into the engine. So, favorite car maker right now?
Chevrolet.
Really? You like the Cruze, the EV Corvette? What is it?
Ooh, no, not that. I've just always been like, I guess a GM girl. So I prefer the Pontiacs, but obviously they no longer exist. They went a little off the rails on their styling, but I do believe Chevrolet still makes amazing stuff, and I love the LS and starting to learn more about the LT.
Okay. I thought you might go with Chrysler for a second.
I really like their marketing, what they're doing right now, and being more on the performance end of things. I really like it.
Their strategy is, what can we put a Hellcat in?
Exactly.
Like,
Anything.
does that forklift need a Hellcat? I mean, we got one. We drove a minivan today. Well, we almost died in it a couple times. I wasn't driving.
I wasn't driving.
For the record. But it's peppy.
Yeah.
What was it, Sebring? Pacifica. Pacifica. Thing was
How much horse does that thing have?
over 300 horsepower. Why does Karen need 300 horsepower to take Charlie to soccer?
She's really late. She
That's
just
probably
needs to
what it
get
is.
there.
It's the Starbucks line to the soccer line. You got to get there fast. What's your go-to beverage while wrenching? And it can be non-alcoholic or alcoholic.
I really like Broken Skull IPA because I love IPAs. I love a stronger beer. You don't
Okay.
need to drink as many. That's my
So
go-to.
you wrench for like 12 minutes is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
One beer, wrenching, done. Got it. Do you like IPAs though?
I do.
Okay,
I
I
know a
don't-
lot of people don't, but
So I honestly don't know this. What's the difference between a, what do they call them, microbrew and an IPA?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know the.
Does anybody know?
I don't think so. I think people are.
I think it's marketing.
I think it is.
They just make it up.
I just know it tastes real good, and that's what I'm gonna have.
Oh,
I'm simple.
that makes sense. So, well, this is a good example. Down here below us with all the lights off, and security guards walking around. Say a car comes through those doors back there,
Yep.
strolls in, it's got the keys in it, and I hand you the title and say it's yours. You can have it.
That's it.
But you say, nope, you can keep that thing. I don't want it. What is that car?
I know this is a broad answer, but basically any new vehicle. I don't want a new vehicle.
Like a crossover or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't want it.
You wouldn't just sell it and buy a shoebox?
How much are you really gonna get for it?
I don't even know what they sell for anymore.
I don't know.
To be honest. They seem to be really popular. The hatchbacky, crossover-ish, I put a canoe on the roof kind of look, you know?
Super popular, but
Apparently. We already talked about your most least favorite. Most is lesser, least, the badder car.
it's really late. I don't know.
I think the ugliest car would that still be your Pontiac?
Honestly, yes. Have you seen that front end?
It
The way
looks-
the headlights just.
It looks like it It almost looks like they brought it back in the Bonneville,
Yeah.
but more sculpty looking,
Yeah.
maybe. I have a Bonneville in a hayfield somewhere, by the way. Do you want it?
What year?
I don't even know, 06? Something
No.
like that. It's got, the doors are rubbed in from cows, but
Oh,
I mean, the back seat's nice. It's got headlights.
you're selling it really well.
Well, I'm being honest. Okay, here's a great question. So you're in the carburetors, which means you obviously have a standard screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, a 1/2 inch, a 9/16, probably a small hammer
Yep.
because carburetor. You're an LS person, so you got a 12 millimeter, a 10 millimeter, a 13 millimeter, a small pry bar, and a 1/2 inch socket.
Yes.
What tool do you use the most overall in your garage?
9/16 socket by far. Although I wish I could use the speed wrench a little more.
What is that?
Speed wrench.
Oh, like the old school? Like,
Yeah, that's my favorite tool, but do I ever get to use it? No.
do you know where that came from?
No.
Where that originated?
No.
That's how drills used to work.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, so it had a
duh.
bit and they would just. So let's say you've worked all day in the garage or wherever you like to work. It's been a long day, you've been wrenching away, banged your head 5 times, cut your hand 6 times, that kind of day.
Yeah.
You're starving, you haven't eaten all day. You gotta go somewhere to get some food. What is your go-to wrenching food?
Go to, I would say either In-N-Out, or if we're really lucky, and being in Southern California, we have amazing Mexican food all over, taco trucks. If there is a taco truck available, I am there. I am ordering all the pastor tacos you can imagine. That's my go-to.
Those are my favorite, the ones that they just have like, and they've gotten wet, so like the ink is like dripping and stuff. But it's like pictures of plates. There's
Yeah.
like no description, and you're just
Nothing.
like, that one.
That,
And you eat like 9 Tums and just wait for your food. Oh, they're so good.
so good.
We, my son and I found one on Route 66. I can't even remember where we were. We put a full interior in an old C20 in the motel parking lot and had these taco truck tacos for breakfast because why wouldn't you? Anywho's, on the way back, we drove way out of our way just to go back to the same,
Same spot.
like way out of the way because they were that good.
That good.
It's been fun, but listen, I'm getting concerned about getting out of this building
Me too.
at this point. I'm pretty sure we're the only people, well, besides the guy doing trash cans down there.
Yeah.
Did you have fun at this event?
So much fun.
This was crazy. It was really cool. Did you get to walk through the display stuff at all?
It was so much fun. The amount of like fun like racing simulators they had and like RC cars.
I missed all of that. We did race some cars though.
We did.
Who won?
Let's not talk about that.
Pretty sure it was me in the peak car, but
Pretty sure you spun me out. So
Rubbin's racing, okay?
true.
Plus you kept running the high side, so it's the way it goes. But anyway, that's going to do it for In the Aisles presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you're just listening, please be sure to check out O'Reilly Auto Parts YouTube page because you're missing out on the motion picture side of the things. Liv, thanks for joining us. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you maybe soon. Duct tape drags?
Would hope so.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you very soon.